Hello again, everyone, and welcome to my final manga review of the week. And it's, well, a polarizing one, Boruto, but it's my favorite one at the moment, to be honest, and I'm excited to finally talk about it. So, we've got a nice cover of Boruto, current one with his katana, and the chapter title is 13 Prescience. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Alright. So, we start off where we basically left off. Jura has just sniped Boruto, so he's out of commission. And we get... Well, it's interesting he says it like this, considering what he's going to say next. He's saying, for farewell to Boruto. You think, oh, is this the end for Boruto? But then you get to this next set of pages, and Bug shows up, or Mamushi, as his Shinju version is known, telling him information about Boruto, and he's got an accomplice. I believe they're talking about Koji here. He looks at Boruto. I think that's him realizing Boruto's alive. And yeah, he acknowledges that Hidari got himself killed, which we know. It's interesting that he was, as I said, that he was talking about saying goodbye to Boruto, because now he's talking about retreating because he can't let Hidari's bulb rot. He can't take one final little snipe through Boruto's head or something. I mean, well, there's Boruto's plot armor, so he gets to survive a bit longer. And as you can see, Boruto's alive, but in a very bad situation. And then we go straight to a flashback. So this is Boruto not long after Sasuke became a tree, and he's trying to evade the Konoha ninjas. He's surrounded, and this is first contact between Koji and Boruto, telling him 20 shinobi in the area, he's trapped, but he's aware that Boruto won't kill innocent people. So he's trying to get Boruto to trust him. But it's like, Boruto's not trusting, but giving him the ultimatum, basically, anywhere's better than this. And it's kind of true. So he goes with it. And he does the summoning jutsu, which brings Boruto to this cave-like structure. And here's them meeting up. He doesn't recognize him at first, as you'll see here. But he reveals that this is just outside Konoha, one of Orochimaru's abandoned bases, and he's covering the entrance of Genjutsu to stop them being discovered so easily. Revealing, this is a new bit of information, the toads are scientific ninja tools, so they're not actual toads, which is an interesting one, because I always thought it weird that Koji supposedly had a contract with the toads when the toads are allies of Konoha, so that kind of makes sense now. So yeah, it's Koji talking through the toads. They're not real. And then to give away his identity, he uses the mask that got destroyed by Jigen. Was it Jigen who destroyed it, or was it Ishiki? Well, same difference. But yes, that's their introductions. Boruto on the next page is obviously very untrusting. He kind of had a rapport with Ao, and Koji killed Ao, and he tried to kill Boruto and Konohamaru as well. But he reveals here that he's aware that Boruto is Boruto Uzumaki. So another person who has worked out the omnipotence. So yes, that's Boruto questioning it. But he's aware that inside his head, he believes he is Ishiki's vessel. But he's saying that my memories are wrong, right? He doesn't know a lot about omnipotence, but he knows about the results, and that he and Kawaki's lives were flipped, and he's about to explain why, and it's pretty crazy. So, we get Boruto questioning how he can know this, how he's worked it out, and it's because he knew the possibility that it would happen was very high, ahead of time. What does he mean by this? Well, Boruto's confused too. He then apologizes for attacking them. It was orders. He only did it to maintain appearances so he could stop Ishiki. So it all kind of makes sense. And then Boruto retorts that he understands. He's a shinobi too. So they're all good now. Hooray! So he's revealing that he was created, as you already know, was created by Amado in order to defeat Ishiki and consequently stop his planet-destroying Divine Tree plan. We all saw that play out. But he states here that he was content with dying because he'd stopped Ishiki's plan once he dragged him out of Jigen, or so he believed. This next page is where it gets crazy. He then starts getting these, let's call it film strips. It's all kind of visions of things that happen. And bear in mind, this is after he's drawn Ishiki out of Jigen. So these are events that are yet to happen. And he says it here. It happened suddenly, but as I watched various scenes flash by one after another, I realized that these were glimpses of future realities. Yeah, he can see the future. He sees the Shinju people, including this one, him here, who looks like a Shinju version of what's his name? Is it Shiki? Gaara's adopted son. So it looks like he might have been treed. So that's him realizing that his role wasn't done. The whole Divine Tree plan doesn't end with Ishiki. So he knew he couldn't die there, and that explains why he's very suddenly kind of bamped out of before Ishiki could kill him. Which, links back to an event that already happened. Pretty crazy. So he knew omnipotence would happen. We're kind of repeating ourselves here. So yeah, he's getting confirmation from Boruto that that's exactly what happened. And it's through an ability. And Boruto's asking, what is this ability? And why do you have it? And Amado, he talks about Amado and Shibai Otsutsuki. I hate that surname. It was interesting in the fan translation that I got impatient and read that it talked about where he says acquired all sorts of shinjutsu. I think it translated as acquired all shinjutsu. So I think that's more accurate because why would there be a limit? It's just godly sort of powers. But he's the Otsutsuki who consumed many planets, gained many shinjutsu, and ascended to godhood. Every Kara member was given and was injected with with parts of Shibai, and with the kind of hopes that they would manifest the shinjutsu. And interesting, claw marks were a shinjutsu. I actually didn't realize that Code's claw marks were a shinjutsu. Obviously, we got Damon's reflection, Ida's an omnipotence, and my scrolling has messed up again. Why does this always happen? He then claims that Boro, Delta, nor he gained a shinjutsu. Now, interesting here, and yet when cornered by Ishiki upon facing almost certain death, one abruptly emerged. Does that mean the same could have happened for Boro? He's dead, so it doesn't matter now. He's gone. Delta? Could she unlock one? I don't think they will, because Delta's a bit of a throwaway character at this point. Well, other than being sort of the clone of Amado's daughter, but I don't know. I don't think they'll put too much focus on her, but it would be interesting. There's a non-zero chance she could develop a Shinjutsu. But then we get to the next page, where he talks about what his ability is. The ability to see all possible futures. Not some, all. That's crazy. And that's where the chapter title comes back, Prescience. That's what it's called, apparently. He can see all possible futures. He's obviously just then describes sort of timeline theories and all this. You know, there's multiple realities that could happen, and then you go down certain paths. He talks about a bad future they've already escaped, and this is also very interesting. You know, these possible outcomes. If Ishiki had killed Naruto, he would have successfully resurrected in Kawaki's body and planted a divine tree. It would have been over. Then there is another one where Kawaki, the day Kawaki caused the Hokage to disappear, they fought, and he successfully kills Boruto and Sarada. At that point, the swap doesn't happen, as he says here. Kawaki goes on to lose to Code and gets devoured by Ten Tails. Divine Tree destroys the planet, and obviously Code probably ascends to an Otsutsuki at that point. As he says, it's difficult for him to prove, but he's very convincing. And as he says, what I want you to understand is that our future has continuously been walking a dangerous tightrope for several years now. They are at very risk for years. This has been going on, and basically since the start of the Boruto series, basically. So he says it's crazy, but he basically believes him. He doesn't want to believe that he can see all futures, but it's very convincing, essentially. And he says that aren't things just going to happen a certain way no matter what? Which is true. There'll be some sort of future, but so he says it's not useful. I disagree. You know, you can take steps to avert these futures. But he points out that with this future sight, you can get intel, so you're never cornered like he was before. And then the other crazy one, this is sort of like Boruto's hack. I could impart to the present you moves and jutsu future you has mastered. Wouldn't that accelerate learning and optimize training? And Boruto agrees. So this is kind of crazy. It's sort of like how Naruto's hack for training was an insane amount of shadow clones to get multiple persons worth of training all at once, whereas Boruto's will be learning ahead of time jutsus he's mastered. And because he mastered them in the future, it makes sense that getting the tricks early means he should be able to learn them. You know, since future him learnt them, he must be better suited to those abilities. So it could mean that his Flying Raijin Jutsu, Flying Thunder God or Flying Raijin, whatever. Maybe he wasn't meant to have learnt it by now, but future him learned it. Maybe the Uzuhiko, maybe that was learned ahead of time too. And then obviously if he learns abilities ahead of time, that means it changes the future, and maybe he can then learn more abilities. Which one thing that had always bugged me, he just seemed to be learning everything way too fast, way too quickly, overpowered as hell. And I know he's described as a bit of a prodigy, but this goes some way to explaining how he's suddenly gone up so quickly. Like, he's doing all his feats right now, even without the karma, which has been insane. And this goes a long way to explain how it's happened. And I've lost my scroll again. And another big thing, I'll tell you how to rescue Sasuke, which is great. But ominously, he talks about the very worst future is still possible. The one where Ten Tails breaks through of Code's control, which is calling back to an earlier chapter where Boruto warned Code this would happen. they'll show up as multiple divine tree people who have individual minds. We've seen them. And they obviously want to stop that, but he pointed out that the chance of just uprooting the 10 tails root and branch before that would be great, but chances are low. And in most of the futures, the divine tree people come to be, and as we've seen, this has already happened, so they can't prevent that now. And he talks about how Jura is the most dangerous, which again we've already seen. If you talk about power of the Shinju, Jura has already kind of overwhelmed Boruto, whereas Boruto quite comfortably, well, I wouldn't say comfortably, but he took out Hidari quite not with too much effort, and maybe he's not, but I would think Hidari is the second strongest, using Sasuke as the base. But Boruto, he is going to kill you, and this is talking about Jura. In multiple futures, he gets killed by Jura. Many futures, see? And it then leads to a divine tree. Kawaki gets devoured. And he points out that this can't happen. There's infinite possible futures, and through you learning about this now, our future has already started to change, obviously, because he wouldn't have known this before. But this is Boruto's now next little ultimatum, I suppose. He doesn't want to kill Kawaki. His goal is still to get Kawaki to come to sense and restore his family. Bit optimistic considering the flash forward we got of them two fighting, but who knows, that might be a possible future that also gets wiped out. The world's our oyster at this point. So then we get the end of this little flashback sequence. He talks about, Ten Tails is his enemy anyway, so might as well. And he wants to finish off Code and Ten Tails. And then we go back to the present. Koji's watching the situation. Boruto's in a bad state, but he's conscious. And they're struggling to heal Sarada's injuries. The bone is fine, but damn it, I think nerves are damaged. And she's just concerned about Boruto. And we then jump to Himawari, who wakes up after her little Nine Tails experience. But then she notices that Sarada is injured, and she jumps too. And she shows Kurama's what am I saying? Kurama's ability to heal with his chakra, and restores Sarada's arm. So she's getting good at controlling the Nine Tails chakra. None of them know about this, so this is all kind of new to them, obviously. It's also sort of interesting. I think I've skipped over it. Let me see. Yeah, I've skipped over it. I just forgot to mention I found it interesting that, instead of Kawaki kind of hovering over Boruto, he was kind of hanging with Konohamaru and Sarada. Anyway, she was able to easily heal Sarada's arm, and now Sumire, I'm very bad at some of these names, obviously requests Boruto to get healed. But then Kawaki jumps in and says, "Don't go near him." And I was kind of hoping Himawari would be starting to realize who's who, but still calling Kawaki big bro. So, Sarada's angry, obviously, because she knows the truth and she doesn't like Kawaki. But interesting hit. I'll let her heal him. Just got to do something first, and Konohamaru understands too. And that very thing is to shackle Boruto. It's sealing jutsu cuffs, so he can't use his jutsus. And, it's the law, and it understands. But alert Lord 8. So that's interesting, because Shikamaru's basically on Boruto's side at this point, so he might be fine. But interestingly, he's found Amado's toad. It blows up, because it's been discovered. And Kawaki doesn't like... Sorry. Amado, Koji, who can see all the futures, isn't happy about how this has turned out. But he only says it's bothersome. He's not panicked. And I think that makes sense. With the allies Boruto sort of gained in Konoha, he might be fine, but they'll have to kind of find a way to release him. Sorry if I sound a bit sickly, I've got a cold or something. And then we jump to the Shinju. We see what they do with the curse bulb. I forgot what it's called. I think it's curse bulb or something. They stick it on their little box, and kaboom! Hidari's revived. So that was easy. So they're going to be tough to get rid of. You'll have to destroy the Soul Fawn. That's why it's called Soul Fawn. Well, but I suspect the Soul Fawn is key to reviving Sasuke, so they can't destroy it. And based on one of those previous panels, if it's left in that state for too long, it rots. So they have to be quick about it, either side. But he's kept his identity, and he's interesting. He says, "Jura, isn't it time?" And sorry, that's not Hidari saying it. It's Matsuri. Is that her name? It is Matsuri, the one based on Moegi. For that, I'm chomping at the bit to see what's going to emerge. And they've got another Soul Fawn that's grown, and they harvest it, and they're going to bring another Shinju into existence, but to be continued. It would be a bit of a spoiler, but it looks probably like it's going to be the one we saw earlier, the one based on Shiki. So, is it Shiki? It's not, is it? It's something else. Anyway, let's just say Gaara's son, because I'm getting the name wrong. So it could be him, and so that's another nuisance for them to deal with. Wonder who he'll want to devour. Gaara, maybe. But I find it all very interesting. So Koji's got a wacky new ability, right? I was also surprised that Kawaki didn't just jump in and try and kill Boruto, because it seems like he's been really wanting to do that. But maybe our boy's growing up. But I'll catch up with you all next time in a month. I hate the monthly schedule. I just want it more. All right, peace out.